revenge is patient. It waits in the dark, gathering every scream and every tear until the strike carries their weight. Found my first target the way predators find the careless, warm, drunk, predictable. He stumbled down a side street, laughter loose and thoughtless. Kind of man who believed the night owed him safety. Watched him for hours before I moved, learning the cadence of his steps. The angle his shoulders slumped when he had one too many. Shadows took me in. The knife in my hand was a cold familiar. When I stepped from the dark, his world shifted with a sound like glass breaking. The laughter died. Panic opened his eyes wide and raw. I said nothing. I let him watch the last moment of his certainty unspool. I spoke slow, each word a deliberate stone. Do you remember her? The woman you ruined? The life you stole? His bravado collapsed into a crooked sob. Begging sounded thin and useless coming from a man who had once been cruel with his hands. I had no interest in his excuses. Monsters do not get the luxury of innocence, they get consequences. I moved like a verdict. The blade met flesh. It was clean, sharp, final. The blood on my hands seared through more than skin. It felt like arithmetic made real. One terrible equation balanced at last. He fell with a small sound that I recognized as the noise of a future stolen. I stepped back into the rain-slick night while the city washed the alley clean, and left my soul unchanged. First time, the act felt like lightning, sudden, blinding, impossible to unlearn. After it, the world changed its shape around me. I started to see patterns where others saw chance, the way a driver glanced too long at a woman that's faced, the way a door stayed unlocked by habit, the way laughter could turn to leering in a quarter of a breath. I learned the taste of the streets at 2 in the morning, the smell of bourbon on a man who'd been cruel, the looseness in their walk that came before they thought themselves untouchable. Each new face I mapped, each new routine I memorized, was another page in a ledger I meant to settle. Hunting became a ritual. I watched from car windows and rooftop ledges. I shadowed dinners and cigarette breaks. I sat in parked cars until dawn, listening for the careless syllables that betrayed guilt. I learned to move without footfalls, to breathe without fogging the glass. When the time came, I was patient. I did not rush the moment or cheapen it with mercy. Watched them flinch as if their bodies remembered what their hands had done. Let them taste fear, and then, when the pieces had been set just so, I finished the work. Revenge did not bring the lightness I had imagined in some fever dream. It was not triumph. It was a ledger that demanded constant payment. Every kill burned into me like a brand. The satisfaction was immediate, but the cost was slow. Nights became crowded with sound, the rasp of my breath, the whisper of a knife sheath, the echo of someone else's last gasp. Days were hollowed out. I slept little, and when I did, the dreams were crowded with Layla's face flickering, like a candle in a wind I could not still. Sometimes I woke convinced I could still fold her into my arms. Sometimes I woke with my hands sticky with phantom blood. There were practical consequences. The men I took targeted were not all equal. Some were low, some were middle, some had friends who watched and learned. Rumors spread through the circles where violence bred. The police started muttering about a pattern, detectives that visited the same neighborhoods whispering guesses I could hear through the walls. I took more care. I changed routes, changed knives, changed my clothes. I switched up the cadence of my life so I would not be traced. But with every adjustment, I also felt a deeper detachment from the man Layla had loved. His jokes, his small comforts, the warmth they brought, all of that was gone, replaced by a colder calculus. And yet there were cracks in my resolve. Sometimes the pleading of a man in my grip echoed the pleading I had done for Layla when she was alive. And for a split second, a terrible human pity would flicker in me. But then I would remember the searing look on her face the night she died, the way she had searched for help that never came. I would remember the men who left laughing and the policemen who closed their files with the same polite disinterest with which they had closed 100 others. Mercy felt like betrayal, pity felt like forgetting. So I hardened again, folding any softness away like a damp cloth. Each man who fell to me taught me something new about who I was becoming. Some fights were messy, full of noise and witnesses I hadn't planned for. Others were quiet, a single breath exchanged in dim stairwells. A few times I nearly got caught, a door opened too soon. A neighbor woke to footsteps where there should have been none. I learned to be quicker, cleaner, less human with every mistake. The police speculated, copycat, vigilante, gang retaliation. They talked in circles and missed the line that led straight to me. In public I passed for a broken man. At funerals and coffee shops I wore the right white face, hollow, polite, grieving. No one suspected the precision with which I planned the next strike. I learned to smile again in small doses so I could slip into the world unnoticed. The world's ordinary rhythms were a costume I wore to move among them. At night, under other moons, I removed that costume and became the instrument of a calculated violence. I told myself I was honoring her, that this ledger of blood was a necessary correction to a world rigged for the powerful. I repeated her name like a prayer before each act, as if invoking her could sanctify what I did. But sometimes, in the quiet hours, I heard something else, the slow erasure of Aariz. The man who loved Layla, who cherished small rituals and fixed ties, was fading into a silhouette made from grief and retribution. I did not know if the end I pursued would ever be an ending. I only knew the path forward, one target at a time, one day claimed after another. Revenge had become my language. It was not eloquent, it was brutal, monosyllabic, final. It did not heal me. It hollowed me and filled me at once, and still I moved, step by slow step, deeper into the dark, because it was the only grammar the men who had taken her from me seemed willing to understand.